So, like, off the bat, do we just want to, like, set some expectation while I'm just kind of, rolling with it?
Well, I just think especially, like half of the people that consume this show are, it's like a 50-50 split. Like half these people are watching it on YouTube, and they're probably going to want to know why you look like that.
Why I look like this?
Mm-hmm.
Why I'm wearing this?
I don't want to use the S word, but
a slob, you mean?
No.
Is that the S word?
No, I was going to say.
Or why I look like it?
Yeah, exactly.
The Shiite.
Yeah.
So, COVID finally caught me after 3 years. I've been sick with it since Tuesday. Going back and forth. I was uncertain if we'd even be able to record this week. I know exactly where I got it. And
oh, you do? You said you didn't.
I mean, I am like 99% sure that I got it from a bouncy house place that I took my son to for a classmate's birthday party on Saturday, a week ago yesterday.
That just sounds like the kind of place where you would just get viruses in general.
Oh, yeah. Like somebody on my team at work said, my family's had it one time and know where we got it? From a bouncy house place. I don't know what it is.
Mystery solved.
So, I mean, I don't know if I want to like throw the name of the place out there. I mean, it doesn't really matter because
it's
people
not
are
their
just,
fault. Like, why would you do that?
It is not their fault. It's just that there's like, it's not a very big place.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if that's where I got it from because after that I went to a NKU basketball game.
That's North Korea University. I don't think you should go to that kind of stuff personally. That's un-American.
That was a long trip, but it's Northern Kentucky University. We went there like after the bouncy house place, which I mean, very well I could have gotten it from there too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just the bouncy house place sounds like it makes more sense. But so we went to a birthday party for one of my son's classmates, and I brought another one of his friends with us, and he tested positive for it the same day that I did.
So probably one of you gave it to the other of you, or you just both got it at the bouncy house place.
I think that we both got it at the bouncy house place.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine like did it have like a ball pit?
So it's not like an urban air type place. All it is like bouncy castles, like the big bouncy castle type places.
But you wonder how well they sterilize those things,
Oh, God. I bet you they don't. I would assume not.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of work. Maybe they do at the end of each day.
Maybe.
But considering that they have like 6 rooms for birthday parties.
Yeah.
And it seemed like when we were there, all those rooms were full in 2-hour increments throughout the day.
Yeah. So
you just got all these kids coming and going all day long, and it's like bound to happen. And this is the first time I've gotten it. It's my family has had it, at least twice, and there was one time I think it was probably a little bit over a year ago.
Like
yes, yeah, my wife and
children.
Both kids.
Okay.
Both had it, and they both had it. I want to say around a year ago they had it, and I just figured, if there's a good time for me to have it, then right now, like I would try to get it. And I was actually actively trying to get it when they had it because, it was just convenient, I guess, for our lives, I suppose. And I was like finishing my daughter's food, all this other stuff, and I didn't get it. And this was the time. This is when it finally got me.
Yeah. I'm sorry you weren't able to get COVID when you really wanted it. I know how that feels. Like, I've wanted things
just
for
at
Christmas
a time
I didn't
when
get, so.
It was convenient. Because I felt like, if I'm going to get it, it's inevitable that I will get it in this situation. Might as well just get it now.
I get it. Well, hopefully you feel better soon.
Yeah. And, so, I mean, that first night was really, it was pretty bad the first night. I took some NyQuil And, I woke up in the middle of the night with a fever. I was hallucinating a whole bunch. Because, nobody else in my family had it at the time. And so I was sleeping in our guest room, or as I like to call it, the golf room, because that room has a big mural of a golf tee off place.
Why?
The people who owned the house before, it was the guy's office, and he is just really into golf, and it's just like a giant wall, and it is, where you tee off from golf. It's like a photograph, and it is like the entire wall. I can't believe I've never shown you that picture before.
Yeah, I would kind of like to see that. Like, I want to sit. I want to sit in there and play some PC Engine golf games.
Well, yes, exactly. We thought about like, oh, where are we going to pull this down? And I said, no, we can't pull this down. At least I have to do something with it first.
Yeah.
And now we've just kind of decided that we love it, and we don't. It's gaudy and it's ugly, but there's something ridiculous and just nice about it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. It's better than a white wall, right? I mean.
Yeah, exactly. So we were, I've been sleeping in there because that's where, like, my wife and I's, like, our old bed is in there. It's like this old, like, double bed, because about 2 years ago, we got a big, like, a king-size bed.
Yeah.
That kind of, like, goes up and adjusts and everything like that.
But, like, that was, like, the bed that you conceived your children on, and so you just didn't want to get rid of it. So you're like,
yeah,
this is the guest bed now. So
yeah, pretty. I guess that's a good way to put it.
Probably tell the guests when you're going to stay in the golf room. By the way, fun fact about that bed you're going to sleep in.
Yeah, but I mean, how many people's guest beds are probably like just old beds of theirs?
Sure.
But that first night it was pretty rough. Like I said, I woke up in the middle of the night hallucinating, and so I wear a mouth guard.
You were hallucinating? You didn't mention to me you were hallucinating.
Yeah, I was just like having like weird thoughts about existing in multiple realities at once.
Wow.
Type stuff. It was, I don't know if it's because maybe I've just watched too many Marvel movies, and that like had affected that. But that first night was bad. I wear a mouth guard because when
the grinding, I think we talked about.
Yeah, because growing up, I was like I ground my teeth a whole bunch, and I don't so much as an adult, but when I get sick, like if I have a fever, like I really grind my teeth. And this one is one that I got, I want to say like 2 years ago, and it's like custom fit to my teeth. And I'm like, I wear it almost every night, but sometimes I don't. But I knew that I needed to wear it that night because I probably would have destroyed my teeth.
Yeah. Did you hallucinate that you were like a football player or something since you had the mouth guard in?
No.
That you were Doug Flutie.
Yeah, maybe.
Or Jim Kelly, I guess.
Anyways, I was just like, I would have destroyed my teeth. But then that next day, I was kind of dragging, and then it was fine. I've been taking NyQuil every night and going to bed at around like 9-ish or so. And every day I wake up feeling a lot better than I did the previous day. But the thing that I'm noticing, and I've really started to notice it today, is that just like I can't catch my breath. Like I'm not congested or anything like that. It's just like, it's like hard for me to like breathe. Like even if I breathe deeply, like it feels like I'm not getting enough air. It's such a weird thing, and I hate it.
I can imagine.
I don't know how long it's going to last like this for. Hopefully it doesn't last, like I guess, it's not like the long COVID where it just like lasts for, like months and months and months. I mean, who knows? But it's just like, so you'll hear me kind of, breathing in at times, and I was unsure if we'd be able to do this podcast because I said, I don't know if I'll be able to like talk for the whole time.
Yeah.
So if this one's a little bit shorter than normal, then.
Yeah. I had a topic on deck if I had to go solo. So,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I think I might like record it anyway. And just like, I just won't say what episode number it is. And that way we just have it.
Yeah. Just as a backup. Yeah, sure. I mean, that's fun.
Yeah. Like, I just feel like sometimes I come up with these topics where I'm like, well, it doesn't really need to be an episode of my show. So I could just, do this just with me. And then I'll just, like I said, I'll just not say what episode number it is. And then if anything comes up, we can go to the stash.
Yeah, I'm envious that you can do that. That you can just, have a topic for a podcast or just be able to talk like that for
Yeah.
an hour. And I think that's where you're like, you have this experience of doing the like the flashback episodes where you just, you sit there and you talk to a camera for an hour plus.
Yeah.
And you have some notes to go off of, and that's definitely a skill. That's a skill that I wish that I had.
It's pretty
maybe
useless,
that's something I could develop. But I mean, have you always had that skill?
I mean, I don't know. I never had a reason to do anything like that before I had a YouTube show. So I don't really know. But I just growing up and whatnot, I spent a lot of time by myself, and so I think that has a lot to do with it. Like learning to just be by yourself. I don't mean that in like a depressing way. Like, I didn't mind. Like, I enjoy being alone now. Like, not all the time.
Yeah.
Like, if my wife goes home and like visits her family, I definitely, get lonely and miss her. But
right.
Some people can't really be by themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're tell me if you have this same situation, because this is very true for me. Like, I like being on my own, but when it comes time to go to sleep, I have a really hard time like sleeping like by myself in the house. I turn on the TV all night. Like, I can't sleep by myself very well.
No, I don't think I have that problem though. I can sleep as long as I'm in my own house. Like, if I have to go to a hotel then I can't sleep for other reasons. But no, I mean, I sleep just fine. But I mean, I just get lonely like the whole time. Like, as we discussed last time, my wife and I have been together for a long time. So like, one of us, I mean, I can't speak for her. Maybe she's glad when I'm gone, but like if she's not around, it's like a part of my body's missing or something,
Right, right.
So, and plus, I mean, I don't really have friends around here to hang out with too much, So, I mean, I'm not saying I don't have any, but it's just like, I don't get excited about hanging out with people. So,
Yeah, I think that's something that we haven't really touched upon very much during this show, but it's, and it's a common sentiment. And I think that like men especially have like a harder time like making friends, like good friends that they can hang out with.
Yeah.
As an adult as much. My wife has a pretty easy time because she like started a mom's group. And I think that really helped her get into like the whole, like involved with a tightly knit group of people or create a tightly knit group of people.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I have like a couple of friends, like I'd say I have 3 good friends where like they're local enough that I could go hang out with them. Mm-hmm. It's not that. It's not like, oh, I don't have anybody to, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, I go to work and I, have my coworkers, that I talk to at work. And then one of the people who's a good friend of mine is also like, they work on campus as well. So like I can go have lunch or coffee with him. Mm-hmm. And then, by the time I get done doing that, and then I come home and have some, visiting time with my wife when we both get home from work. Like, after that, I'm kind of good. I don't need more socialization after that.
Definitely get that.
So I don't ever feel like, oh, I really want to get together with my, because, like one of the friend that I work with, he's a big 49er fan as well. And so it's like, you'd think we'd get together and watch the games together. And I don't know, it just doesn't sound appealing, and part of that is like, I'll put a game on, but I'm doing something else while I have the game on,
right.
And like, if I am hanging out with somebody else, I can't be like, hey, I'm here at your house watching the game with you, but like I brought my laptop with me because I'm going to like work on my show. You can't do that. So
yeah.
Anyway, what are we talking about? Oh yeah, sorry. This is important. Oh, first of all, you're listening to episode 16. I think 16 of Here's My Question for You, and show news, which I can't remember if I spilled the bean. I was trying to wait to do it on the air, but then you said somebody told you that no one listens to our show or something. I don't remember what. But
no. I mean, it was a misunderstanding. I think that we had joked
Yeah.
about like nobody listening to the show.
Yes. Self-deprecation. I do
Exactly.
a lot of that. But since the last time we recorded, both the podcast as a podcast and the YouTube show have both gone over 10,000 views.
That's
So
huge.
I thought that was pretty. Actually, I think the podcast is over 11 now because it's been a while. But I don't know. I just thought that was pretty cool. You know,
we need to. The YouTube channel still needs like another 550 subscribers though before we can monetize it.
Oh, is it 1,000 subscribers?
We have 1,000 hours watched.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or something like,
Easily.
or like
Easily.
however, like 4,000 hours watched or something like that. We have at least that.
Yeah.
But we don't have the subscriber number to be able to do that.
I mean, we're not getting enough views that monetization's going to do anything anyway. So that's the last thing I'm concerned about.
Exactly.
You know, I'd rather get a sponsor anyway than, get YouTube ad revenue.
Yeah.
You know.
Do we?
What do you want?
Do we want to mention the email submissions that we got? Or are we still working out the details on that?
Well, I think, based on what your wife said, I think we have some legal stuff we have to go through first.
Okay.
Yeah,
we joked about that
because now people are going to want to know what we're talking about. Like we got a couple of jingles or theme songs or whatever for Does It Slap or Should We Eat It? But we have to get legally cleared to use them without fear of future litigation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just smart, I suppose.
Yeah. But it's very exciting.
Yes, and they are very, very good.
Yes, both of them.
Very, very different from each other, and both we like them so much that we just want to use them both.
Yeah. Well, since we spent the first 10 minutes of the show today talking about how you have COVID, I feel like today would have been a day to use the downbeat one.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. What?
But speaking of that, I do actually have. I think I wrote these down. Is it my turn to do? Does it slap or should we?
I think technically it's my turn, but if you have something, because I don't really, I just have my spreadsheet and I was going to pick 3 random things. But if you've actually got something, that's probably better.
Okay. So actually, I feel like this is not slap. This is more of just a topic.
Okay.
But I mean, it could be. It's all on a theme.
Okay.
Okay. So I feel like we could make it a slap or yeet.
Well, it's up to you. I mean, I brought stuff to talk about today, but.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm fine with either. If you got some stuff.
Well, we got to do a Does It Slap or Should We Eat It, though?
Okay. Do we want to just do this then? I mean,
Sure.
it's on a theme this time, so it's
okay.
It's 3 of the same thing.
Oh, all right. Well, now you got to do it. I got to hear it now.
And I think that it would be fun. It's a music one.
Oh, actually, You know what then? Because that's what I was going to talk about today anyway. So that's perfect.
Okay.
That
awesome.
will lead us right into what I was going to talk about.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So does it slap or should we eat it?
Yeah.
Okay. I have three songs here that I feel are made popular by films. Okay.
All right. I already thought, as soon as you said that, a song popped into my head. So now I'm curious to see if it made your list.
Okay. So, I mean, they are fairly well-known songs because of that.
Okay.
But I think that they're all pretty good in their own ways.
Yeah.
Some cheesier than others, but I think that it's a pretty challenging situation.
All right.
All right. So I'm guessing that the one you had probably popping into your mind is Highway to the Danger Zone from Top Gun.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
All right. Of course. So the other one is Time of Your Life from Dirty Dancing.
Okay.
And the third one is, I think it's called Man in Motion from St. Elmo's Fire.
Yes, I believe it's called. I think that's what it's called. But in any case, I know what song you're talking about. Very good song. And I have cards on the table. Actually, I have never seen Dirty Dancing or St. Elmo's Fire. But
really?
Those are both very, well, the Time of Your Life song was more popular.
They are...
But, well, the thing is, anytime that song, that St. Elmo's Fire song comes on the radio, it makes me think, I should really watch that movie.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Okay.
It's good. You know, it's funny because that's one of my wife's favorite movies.
Yeah.
She says, "Oh, when I was growing up, we had the soundtrack on vinyl, and we would like me and my sister, or twin sister, would always would dance to it."
Yeah. So
So
I have to pick one of these. Like, this is a, does it slap or should we eat it?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that it's probably going to be pretty obvious. But
Y-
so the other thing, like if it was not going to be slap or yeet, I was going to ask you to rank them. So if you wanted to rank them,
Okay.
and then
Oh yeah,
so
we can do both.
yeah, so we can just throw that into the pot and
Yeah.
see what rises to the top.
But I mean, I think that's pretty easy. I have to put Danger Zone at the top.
Okay. I
The,
mean, it makes sense.
so the first,
Considering it's the only one you've seen, too.
well, I mean, there's just nothing about Dirty Dancing that's ever made me want to watch it. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just not my kind of movie, I don't think. But
Mhm.
I do want to see.
But the song
St.
is
Elmo's Fire.
iconic.
It is, and it, like, I think I've talked about this before, but like the first concert that I ever like went to or said like I want, like my mom had to take me because I was a little kid, but like where I said like I want to go to this
Mhm.
was Kenny Loggins playing at like the county fair when I was like 11.
That's
And-
pretty awesome.
And it was 100% because like I didn't know about, you know, like Loggins and Messina, you know, like their stuff in the 70s and whatnot. Like I didn't know about any of that. Like I 100% wanted to see him because of Top Gun. So
yeah. I'm sure most people your age.
like I had the
feel-
soundtrack on cassette tape. And yeah, so I mean I love that movie, but you know that song is very nostalgic for me.
Yes.
So that's easily number one, and then the Man in Motion song is number two, just because it's an awesome song. Number three is a great song, you know, but again, it's not the kind of thing that, you know, I've never really been a huge fan of like adult contemporary, you know, music. You know, I grew up
Right.
listening to that stuff because my parents listened to it.
Mhm.
You know, and so like that again, so I'd listen to that song. It's like, oh, there's a little bit of nostalgia there, but you know, it's more like it's like that song from Titanic. You know, what's her name?
Yeah, the Celine Dion song.
Yeah, it's like, well, you know, if I hear it now, I guess there's some nostalgia just because I remember being around when that was all over the radio. But I would never like, oh, let me open the Tidal app because I really, really want to hear Time of My Life or whatever.
Yeah. So on that, do you think that is there any other songs that are associated strongly with a film that you can think of that would top Highway to the Danger Zone?
Man, I feel like that's
Putting you
the
on
kind
the
of
spot,
question
I
you want
guess.
to be able to think about ahead of time. But of course, that's not what this podcast is about. I mean, the first one that came to my mind was Pretty in Pink by Psychedelic Furs, but that's because I just watched that movie a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or like Holiday Road by Lindsey Buckingham.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's better than all these.
It's pretty dang good. But I'm a really big fan of Lindsey Buckingham, so like,
Mhm.
of course I'm going to think that.
And you know, that is a song that I feel like you don't hear it very often. Like it just doesn't come on the radio these days.
Which
Not
is
that-
weird because I
mean,
like one of my presets in my car is like classic rock. And
Oh,
they'll
yeah,
play
well-
all kinds of Fleetwood Mac. But then, yeah, wouldn't you think that one would get thrown on there?
yeah, but I mean, Fleetwood Mac has really had this return to like the public consciousness. I think the last couple of years, due to like TikTok or whatever. Like there's the one song like was like shared a whole bunch on TikTok or something like that.
Wasn't there some viral video about some guy like riding a longboard and drinking
Yeah.
like cranberry juice or
yeah,
something?
exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Fleetwood Mac has really had, you know, it's been brought back to like kids are like, oh, what is this? You know?
I mean, it's a popular, like
but-
all these kids now that are into vinyl. I mean, they're all buying, you know, copies
Right.
of Rumors.
Yeah, but it's funny because I just feel like I never hear that song. You know, it's like I feel like I don't hear very much of Stevie Nicks' solo stuff just on the radio either. I mean, it's like maybe like I Just 17. Like that's a solo song, right?
Yep.
And but I like Stand Back.
That's
but you
my
never hear that.
favorite Stevie Nicks solo song. I love that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. I think those are both on the same album.
what is it like?
It's like Wild Heart or something like that. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's a good album.
Yeah, like it was like her first one, right? Her first solo, maybe.
I really don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's so many more songs I'm sure we could come up with. Oh, from this movie and that one from that movie, but
well, maybe like I mean,
like
I feel like this
Breakfast
is
Club,
something we
right?
could.
Wasn't that was Don't You Forget About Me? Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's probably associated with like that's
But it's
heavily
not
associated with that movie.
It's probably not
I mean,
famous because of the movie, though. Is
right.
it?
Well, I think that there was a certain. It might have been popular before the movie, but then it became more popular because of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that most people like our age probably associate that movie with like that song with that movie specifically.
I think you're right.
But I maybe this is something that we could come back to in the future, just like maybe come up with another crop of songs and rank them.
I mean, I just wish I could at least like go upstairs and look at my DVDs and see like, oh yeah, okay, that one had that or whatever, you know.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, but so then that kind of leads me into what I wanted to talk about today.
All right.
Which I have a question for you, basically, which is what this show was at one point supposed to be about. So you know this, everybody else doesn't know this. It's not like it's a big deal, but I have coming my way in the mail. I ordered a portable mini disc player, you know, because we talked about mini discs already on the show. I have a home mini disc deck. I don't have a portable player. People watching or listening might say, what the heck do you want that for? And I mean, why do you?
It's a good question. I mean, it's true. Like we just want it because they're awesome.
Yes, it is a bit, you know, the slightly longer answer is that like, I want to be able to listen to music on the go without my headphones being plugged into my phone is kind of like the short answer. And I used to have a separate Android phone that was like not, you know, registered. It didn't have cell service, right? So it just had, and I put an SD card in it or micro SD card, loaded up with music. I had the Tidal app on there. And it was basically a portable, you know, music player.
Right.
And, but then it died. Like it's the only time I've ever had this happen. I think the battery got all fat. And so I had to throw it out.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
So like it split or like burst or whatever.
Well, yeah, it was going to. Yeah. It was not looking.
Like it swelled or whatever.
Yes. It looked unwell. And, it's frustrating because like, you know, Sony just announced that they're coming out with a new portable they call them DAPs. It's a digital audio player, and Sony's
it's like
coming out
like a really high quality audio, right? It's like higher quality than like whatever
it's supposed to be. It's supposed to have like a better DAC in it, and you know, but this one's going to be because I bought a few years ago. I bought a Sony quote unquote Sony Walkman. You know, it was just a digital audio player, and I hated it and I returned it. But this one runs Android because what I hated about the old one was the operating system it had. It was real sluggish. But this new one coming out runs Android. And so I was looking at that like, oh, that's pretty cool. But, you know, it's going to be like $400 or something. Yeah. And then it just made me think like when I bought, it was like an LG V series, like an LG V35 phone that I had, which those are like known in, you know, sort of the audio community as like those phones have really, really good DACs in them. Like LG, like they did that on purpose. Like we're going to make this phone that has a really good DAC in it so that people will want to buy it for listening to music. And I got that for only a couple $100. And I mean, it has a, you know, huge fat screen. You know, it's an Android phone, so I can put all the apps on it that I want to put on it. So I was really happy with that thing.
Yeah.
But LG quit making those phones. Otherwise, I would just buy another one that was like, you know, a generation old or something.
Yeah. And so the battery's not, so did it like break the plastic or whatever, or the break?
Yeah, because I hadn't noticed. I hadn't noticed because it was sitting in like a charging cradle, like a wireless charging cradle.
Mm-hmm.
And just while it was sitting, I don't know if you're not supposed to leave stuff on a wireless charger. Maybe that's, you know, probably my fault.
Well, no, if you're not supposed to leave stuff on a wireless charger, that's super obnoxious.
Oh yeah,
like they should be like made to be left on there because there's nobody out there that's not leaving their stuff on a wireless charger.
And the reason I did that is because like if I was just not going anywhere, that little thing was sort of like my little network streamer at home. So I had that cradle sitting on top of my stereo, and like I would use that to stream, Tidal or whatever when I was at home.
Yeah.
So that's why it had been sitting there, and the battery swelled up, and I didn't know, and it was just like it was beyond repair, I would say, because the case was getting deformed. It doesn't really matter. So the point is, I don't have a portable audio player at the moment, aside from like literally a cassette Walkman.
Yes.
And I've had this saved eBay search for like a long time, trying to find. Like, I was looking for like the MiniDisc player that I originally had, and so every time a new one would get listed on eBay, I would look at it and be like, it's not in good enough condition for me or whatever.
Yeah.
Like if I wasn't going to find one that was in like perfect condition, I'll just wait. Like I'm not in a hurry,
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I finally bought one. So I'm excited I got that coming. Yes, I'm planning on, using it. So I'm pretty excited about that. But so what that's got me doing, and really I was already going to ask you this question, but being able to tell this MiniDisc story just kind of makes it more of a focused question,
Yeah.
Like I'm acting like I'm asking you this question for a reason, even though the question predates the whole MiniDisc thing. So like what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to take some of my favorite albums and I'm going to start putting them onto MiniDiscs, right?
That's fun.
So that I leave the house and I'll have like 3 MiniDiscs in my backpack or my messenger bag or whatever. And then, because as we talked about previously, I think you and I both prefer listening to albums in their entirety. So
yeah, it's a lot of times it feels like it's this lost art,
right?
That people very rarely have the interest to just listen to an entire album instead of just like listening to the singles or what's like the most popular song that's like on their like on the Apple iTunes store or whatever.
Exactly. And so like my original question was just going to be like, hey, Coury, just throw out like a bunch of albums that you think are just like 5 out of 5 albums. But now I can just focus it a little bit more and say, if you were in my position and you're like, okay, I have a pack of, let's just say 10, but don't feel limited by the 10 number. I'm just saying like, I got a MiniDisc player coming. I have a little pack of 10 blank MiniDiscs, and I'm going to pick 10 albums to put on these 10 MiniDiscs. I
got to come up with 10 albums that I would put on MiniDiscs.
Well, I mean, you don't have to come up with 10, but I'm just trying to get you to a sense of like, just throw out, here's a bunch of albums that I just think are awesome that I would want to have in complete form, to listen to, generally speaking. Regardless of genre, just whatever, just.
Yeah. So I'm just writing some stuff down here.
Well, I'm also writing stuff down, just so you know. Like I have found.
Okay.
Well, I'm just going to say this while you're thinking.
Oh, so you're gonna tell me the ones that you've already?
No, not at all. That's not how this show works. Just while you're writing that stuff down, I've noticed that one of the major roadblocks for me on this show, as far as just like the stuff I have to do after we quit. After we quit recording, like you're done. And then I do all the other stuff. And, it's supposed to be easy, and most of it is easy, but I've noticed that one of the things that makes it less easy is that when I upload it, I have to write the description.
Yes.
But by then I've already forgotten half of what we talked about. And so then I have to kind of go rewatch and skip through it. Oh, yeah, this, that. So now while we're talking, I'm just making little bullet point lists of the things that we talked about so that I can more easily write the description. And then if I come up with a good idea for the title of the episode, I'll write that down. Like, I don't know if you saw the title of episode 15.
I do. I didn't know what it was though. What it meant.
I've got more hits than Sadaharu O.
Yeah,
well, because we were talking about Japanese baseball games. And Sadaharu O is like, the greatest slugger in Japanese baseball history, has the record worldwide for career home runs.
Oh, okay.
But he played his entire career in Japan, because I think he played before Japanese players could come over here and play. But anyway, because you recall, all of the titles of our show are either movie lines or lines from music, and I've got more hits than Sadaharu O is from "Hey Ladies" by the Beastie Boys.
That's good.
Although it's kind of funny because they kind of reused that line. Later, they had he said, "I got mad hits like I was Rod Carew." but I think that's an intergalactic planetary. I can't remember, but it's kind of like you're kind of reusing the line and just taking out Sadaharu O and putting in Rod Carew.
I guess. Yeah, but I mean, isn't it true that like the Beastie Boys like only like they started like rapping because it was like someone said I bet you guys can't do this.
I mean, I've never heard that, but I don't know a lot about the history of the Beastie Boys, so that may very well be the case.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that it was somebody saying like I bet you guys wouldn't be able to do this.
I don't know.
And then they did. Obviously. So, I'm just writing some stuff down. Like, I'm just picking from like stuff that's like my favorites.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get you to do.
And I'm trying to stay away from stuff that I may have mentioned previously, but it's going to be impossible.
Well, you can still throw them out there. Like I'm assuming we're going to have to hear about Hole yet again. So like,
yeah,
that's
well, I
fine.
mean, I'd put a whole Celebrity Skin on there for sure.
Although I kind of can't believe that you were trying to get me to spend $37 on a Hole record.
Well, I mean, you didn't have to.
I didn't.
I immediately went and like looked to see how much it would cost to like buy a new one.
That was a new one.
If I was there, I would have just like I would have bought it.
Really? Wow.
I should have told you to buy it. And
I
then
don't know, man. There's just like the price of vinyl's going up way too much.
Yeah, it's not worth it for.
Well, it's just like I've been kind of. I was kind of thinking I wouldn't mind getting the first Weezer album.
Yeah,
just because it's a good album. And
it is, yeah.
But I don't know if you saw this, but like maybe a month ago or something, like some part of the music industry somewhere came out with this announcement saying we are raising the price of vinyl by like a lot, like 25-30%.
Just because they know that they can, or
probably,
is it because
probably. And so
they
then
try to say it's something else, but they know that they can.
Yeah, and so then the next time I was in the record store, they had just gotten in because they just repressed the Blue album. And they had copies of it, and it was like $32. And I mentioned to the guy at the store, because I had told him about how that, this is the first time I've really seen like evidence of that announcement. And I basically told him, I'm saying, that's too much. Like, I'm not giving him crap, just saying like, if this is what the record industry wants to do, like, they just lost a sale, right? I'm not paying $32. Sorry for a Weezer album. And he agreed. He said, "Yeah, last time we had that record in the store, it was 22."
Wow, that's a big jump. That's frustrating. That is really, really frustrating.
Yeah, especially when like I've said this before, but we're in this golden age, I think, of buying CDs, where like you can get used CDs for like $4, $5, $6 all day long. So
usually it's less than that. I mean, I was going.
Well, I'm not talking about thrift stores. Yes, thrift stores even. I'm talking about going to like a record store and looking through their used CDs, and it's like, $4.99, $5.99.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have good thrift stores around here for looking for CDs, but if we did, I would 100% be doing that,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to say that like the music industry needs to price new vinyl based on used CDs. I'm just saying as a consumer, I mean, even buying new CDs are still like $15, which they've been for like ever. So why would I pay $32 to have something on vinyl? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. I can't, outside of a thrift store, I can't think of where I've even seen CDs.
They're getting harder to find. I mean, like the record store I go to is like, it's mostly literally a record store. Like it's vinyl, and then they have like a smaller CD selection. I mean, it's still a pretty good CD selection, but not like in the old days.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I asked you for stuff, and then I keep it.
I know. It's like I'm not going to be able to come up with like there's things that I'm thinking of. It's like, oh, I wish I could think of more. I mean, like you mentioned, Hole, but I'd say that like Jimmy Eat World Futures would definitely be one of my top picks.
Like what's
Jimmy Eat World?
No, I know Jimmy Eat World, but I'm saying like what are there like popular songs off that album that made it onto the radio or? Because wasn't their famous album was like American something or something?
Yeah. Well, it's like not Bleed American, but the middle is the one that's like there, but off of Bleed American.
I was
like
thinking Bleed American.
But the album after that, Futures, is like one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah,
I mean, if you haven't listened to it, it starts out super strong. I mean, it's basically, I would say for me, for my tastes, is almost a perfect album.
What's it called again?
Futures.
All right.
So they did a tour. I don't know. It's got to be like 6 years ago or something now. It was like an anniversary of that album, and like they played the entire album from beginning to end.
That's awesome.
Which is like, I mean, that's a cool. I think it's cool that
I like that bands are
musician.
starting to do that.
Yeah, but at the same time, it takes away like a lot of the, like, oh, what are they going to play? What are they going to play next? It kind of takes away from that.
But
I think it's neat.
yeah.
But at the same time, I'm glad that.
But if you knew ahead of time that that's what they were doing,
yes,
so that you could
exactly.
say, well, no, I don't want to buy the ticket because maybe you're not going to play these other things I like because you're going to play. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but if it's an album that you really, really like,
yeah,
like Jimmy Eat World did a tour where they just like played Futures, and then after they played the entire album, they would play like a couple of other songs,
right?
Which was always cool.
I mean, just
and that was
like
great because like I love that album so much, and that was I got a shirt from there.
Yeah.
From that show.
Yeah. I was just going to say, based on what you said, like, not to bring this up yet again, but, I'm going to that, in October or whatever, I'm going to the Death Cab / Postal Service show. And they're going to play both, Transatlanticism and Give Up in their entirety. I'm not even expecting them to play. Like, if they play other Death Cab songs, great. But I'm not assuming that's even going to happen. Like, if they play both those albums in their entirety and they say, okay, thank you, good night, I'll be like, that was
that's
an awesome
a perfect
show.
Situation for something like that, or to go there and say, like, here, I'm going to hear these 2 albums in their entirety, both of those albums should go on their own mini discs, by the way.
Good. I'm glad to hear you say that, because they are both for me going to go on mini discs. So,
I mean, if you had to pick one over the other, what do you think you'd pick? Like, that's a tough choice, I think.
I mean, this is really splitting hairs. I just want to be clear. I don't want to say something and somebody gets offended. Like, how can you say that? There's like 1 or 2 songs on Transatlanticism that I'm maybe kind of like, I'm not going to skip it, but maybe, I'm tempted, I'm not really into that one that much. Give Up, there's not, like, every single song. So, but you're talking about like an A+ album versus an A++ album. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, for my REM pick, I'd pick New Adventures in Hi-Fi.
So yeah, I was curious about that because I wanted to hear like what's the best.
I mean, did you listen to that? Did you listen to that recently? Like,
I haven't listened.
I recommended it.
I found it on CD for like $2 or something. I haven't listened to it yet.
You should. That's one of those CDs. It's so interesting because it does not have any CD like art on the disc itself.
What do you mean?
So
like,
you can't tell.
Literally none.
It just like has like the text in the inside ring.
How do you know which side to?
Well, you can look at the text and if you can read it correctly.
Yeah.
Then you know that it's. But
that's crazy.
There's no way to really know.
Yeah.
For my Sigur Rós album, I would probably pick their third one, which is TAKK, TAKK. Sigur Rós, the Icelandic band. You're not familiar?
I don't know.
Oh no.
Oh, how do you even spell that?
SIGUR ROS, and there's like a thing over the O and the second word there, like a
some dots or a line or what?
It's like the accent like thing.
Okay. And
they're like an Icelandic band. They're
what kind of music?
Incredible. It's really hard to explain.
It's not like death metal, is it? I don't listen to death metal.
No. And like I haven't listened to anything that they put out in several years now, but their second and third album, like that's like the TAKK, and the one before that, which is like, I don't know how to like pronounce it, but it's like Aegis by Björn or something like that. It's like those are darn near perfect albums. I saw them for the first time in, there was an album between that. So like their very first album is like, it's all right. It's like it's just more like noise, I guess. But then their second, third, and fourth album. So that would be the Aegis Bayern, the one that doesn't have a title. It just like has parentheses. Like the title is like parentheses. And then there's TAC. Those three albums are incredible.
right,
Specifically the second and fourth one are like basically perfect albums. But I saw them in Cleveland. Gosh, it must have been 2002. They were touring for the album with the parentheses on there, and it was a small little club, and it was just like a life-changing experience hearing this music live. Like it was the first time I'd ever been to a show where during the song, like everybody in the audience was completely silent.
Wow.
And just like listening to the music. And, you know, I saw them, I think 2 more times after that. I saw them at, they played a show at the MoMA in New York that sold out in like 45 seconds or something like that. And, like I somehow got tickets for it, and I didn't I just said, "Oh, these are going on sale. I'm going to get one." I got some, and then I realized like the next day that it sold out in like less than a minute. And I have like a poster and stuff, like a one sheet that they gave out like at the door for that show specifically. And I wonder if it's like I framed it and everything, and I wonder if it's like worth a bunch because so many people wanted tickets for that show and couldn't get it. Yeah. And you can actually watch that online, I think. I can probably it was on Vimeo for a while. Like they had like live streamed it or something. I should send that to you. I mean, I don't even know if it's something that you'd like.
Well, I wrote it down.
It is not. It's not in English. It's like
I don't care.
They've kind of created their own language. Like it's like
that's a bit strange. But.
It is, but listen, it is music that will. Because it's not in any language, you can kind of like you come up with your own meaning for it, I guess.
All right. Yeah.
Like the music itself will make you it makes you feel things.
Yeah. I get that.
But I would put TAC on one of theirs. But I mean Aegis Bayern I would probably do as well.
Yeah.
Like I put Siamese Dream on there, Smashing Pumpkins' second album, Siamese Dream, which, like, I've said before is like probably my favorite album of all time. I mean, I don't know how much you listen to Churches, band Churches. Like, I really like their second album. A lot of people like really like their first one. I can't think of the name of the second album is right now for some reason, but I've listened to it a whole bunch. Yeah, are you familiar? Like the Churches, like the U instead of a U, it has a V. Like it's just like
no. I mean, there was an '80s band called Church, but I don't think that's the same. And then there was Metal Church, but you're probably not talking about that either. So,
but I mean, Churches is good. They are good. I just like how they sound, but I hate that they do like that V. Like the V for the U. It's like this. There's this other band that, my wife is, when she's working upstairs, she listens to her, what's the music? Not the music streaming, but like the one that everyone listened to that like, it conformed to like the stuff that they liked. Why can't Pandora. And she listens to that, and then it seems like recently, every time I'm going up there, I'm like, oh, what is this that's on here? And she's like, oh, whatever the Pandora is put on. So I like always ask to like see what's playing, because then I can go and, download it on my Apple Music to listen to.
Yeah.
And there was like this one called Always, but like the W is 2 V's. She's like, I don't know what this is. This is Always?
Yeah.
Always?
Like
it's pretty obnoxious. I get it. But it's like annoying at the same time. And those are the ones that I came up with like off the cuff. I'm
was
sure
that 10?
Plenty of stuff. That wasn't 10. I mean, I don't have.
That's disappointing, but
like, what about? I need to come up with 10.
any I mean, kind of thinking outside the normal box or whatever, like, are there any like video game soundtracks that you'd?
I maybe pick something from like maybe like Ease, the Oath and Felghana, which is like the remake of 3,
Yeah.
which is a very good soundtrack. I don't know, it's weird. Like I very, very rarely, if almost never, listen to game soundtracks like outside of
Hmm.
the house, I guess. Like sometimes I'll put stuff on just because, but
Yeah.
it's very rare that I will listen to that kind of stuff like outside of the home. Like it's just
Oh, yeah.
maybe I hear too much of it in my life. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I want to. And it didn't used to be like that. I used to be able to, like listen to, when I got my first iPod, like I put a bunch of stuff on there,
Yeah.
and I don't know, like a lot of time, more times than not, I will just skip it if something comes up, unless it's
Hmm.
something that, if it's the exact moment where the time is right, the
Yeah.
exact time is right.
I mean, I definitely went through like a phase or whatever. I mean, I guess it was a phase. I only say it's a phase because I'm not really doing it anymore. But I mean, I used to listen to the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack like a
Hmm.
lot. But, I think a lot of that was just like, that was one of my, all time favorite sort of video gaming experiences.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I mean, it's one of my all time favorite video games, I suppose, too. But, just the experience of playing that when it came out and whatnot, like, I just, very fond memories of that. And so I think that,
Right.
like, if I listen to the soundtrack, it kind of takes me back to being,
Right.
20
Right.
years old, sitting on the floor in front of my TV in my bedroom, playing that game.
And I think that's like a big part of it for me also, is that it's like hard for me to like listen to a lot of stuff if I don't have like that context,
Yeah.
where I need to have like played the game and like and have certain feelings for it, where I just wanted to kind of revisit that, I guess. Like I just, unless I have that, like a good one would be like the Chrono Cross soundtrack, which is like basically perfect. It's like that is like one of the very few game soundtracks I can think of that I fell in love with before I had even played the game, and
Yeah.
it kind of shaped my feelings on the game at the time.
Yeah.
But
And that,
that's a good one. That wouldn't fit
yeah.
on mini disc though. That'd be had to be on 2 mini discs.
No, but I would probably just make I'd pick like the songs I really enjoyed and sort of make a abbreviated version, but
Hmm.
I'm probably not going to do that. I'm just saying if I were going to do it, I don't think I would listen to that very often if I did it. So,
Right.
but I might do like a Streets of Rage disc.
That'd be fun too.
I feel like both of those soundtracks, you can listen to them as though they were albums, you know,
Yes.
and,
Oh, absolutely.
and
I
for
mean,
me,
have you
part of
played?
it is, that, I'll listen to that and like, I know what stage that is. And so I would be like
Right.
visualizing it. But I just think even if you just listen to them as just sort of like electronic music albums,
Hmm.
they're really good. So
Right.
yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just there was a time when I would do where I would listen to a lot of it. It's just that as I've gotten older, I find myself doing it less, I suppose.
yeah.
I mean, I mentioned it before, and I still think it's like one of the best soundtracks. But I mean, not a game soundtrack, but the soundtrack for The Crow is a really good one. You should like that. That would be a good mini disc.
I've never seen The Crow.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, I know I'm a horrible human being, but
That is, I mean, it's like one of the most '90s movies that
yeah,
you could imagine. And that soundtrack it's got some heavy hitters like some Stone Temple Pilots and um, The Cure and 9 Inch Nails. Some really good stuff on there. I can't believe you haven't seen it. You should really
there's
see it.
there's a lot of movies I haven't seen. So
You should put that on your list though.
yeah.
Um, do you have any other suggestions you just want to kind of throw out there to maybe see if it like sparks ideas?
What albums?
Yeah, I'm just curious to see like what else. Like I'm curious what you've already decided to put on there on those.
Um, Well, I mean, you already mentioned Give Up and Transatlanticism. Those are both getting made into mini discs for sure. I gotta have at least one Radiohead, maybe
Oh,
two.
yes.
OK Computer, like duh. But
Yes.
I know that you and I diverge on this, but I can't imagine not having Kid A on there.
Right.
So,
But I mean, I would like, but you would not put the Bends on there, huh?
I don't know. It's a great album, but I never really listened to it much back in the day. But because I remember after like it was like episode 2 or whatever when we were talking about Radiohead and you mentioned the Bends.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I can't remember. I don't think I had it already, like on because I bought it on vinyl. I think probably based on that conversation, and then I think I just forgot what was on that album because like I put the album on, and I was just like, oh yeah, like I forgot about that, and then oh I forgot about that one's on there too, and then I realized like, dang, this is actually a very very good album. I just kind of forgot that those songs were on that album. So, so I don't know. Maybe I'd make maybe that'd give me an excuse to listen to that album a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, talking about that just made me think like I would definitely put Garbage version 2.0, version 2.0, their second album on there.
Yeah.
Although I really love,
I was gonna say I like the first
like
album
1,
an
2,
awful
and
lot.
like their first 3 albums.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about that before. I'm not sure if we've talked about on this podcast before, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's like plenty of other stuff that.
Well, I wasn't trying to get you to list. I'm just it's just to get a conversation going. I mean, like for me, I'd have to, and I know that I don't think I know anybody else who likes Kraftwerk. Like everybody I try to tell about it, I go, yeah, whatever, Just
my boss when I lived in New York, my boss really liked them.
They're like one of the most influential musical groups of all time, But I was just trying to tell somebody about them the other day at work because they asked, what music do you listen to? And I knew, based on what he said he listened to, I knew he wasn't listening to Kraftwerk, but I just figured I'd throw it out there anyway. But
yeah,
like I was trying to tell him, it's like you have to. Because like there's a guy that hangs out in my Discord who's really into electronic music, and he told me, he's like, yeah, I tried to listen to Kraftwerk and just like he wasn't into it, which is that's fine. But I feel like for me, part of it is like you have to listen to one of their albums and then look at the year that it came out, and to me, that's what's like mind blowing. Like you put that album out in like 1977. Are you kidding me? Like. They were just like so far ahead of everybody else.
I'm sure it's crazy. I mean, like that's not like I have barely listened to anything by them.
Yeah, well, apparently you and everyone else that I know, so that's okay.
Yeah,
but it's funny because like a lot of the stuff that I had on MiniDisc, back then is not stuff that I would put on there now. Like I of course had some Metallica MiniDiscs.
Yeah.
I had like a Tool.
How about a Pixies?
I put like on a MiniDisc. No, like no. I made the Prodigy. So that's hard to say. The Prodigy. I had Fat of the Land on MiniDisc. Because my friend had the album, so I borrowed it. I only ever had 2. Like I don't know if you remember, you could buy pre-recorded MiniDiscs.
No, I've never seen those in my life.
If you look on eBay, like you got to pay a lot for them now. Like I think for something crappy, it's like $50.
Oh, geez.
And for anything halfway decent, it's like easily over 100, maybe over 200.
Imagine being like, I'm going to get into collecting those.
People do though. I mean, there's like a MiniDisc subreddit on Reddit, and people there are really into it. But I think most people there are more of like, I'm going to make my own MiniDisc, and they make their own custom label art. Because it's one of those things where like you could buy a pre-recorded MiniDisc, or you could have the CD and use that to make a MiniDisc, and there's no difference as far as sound quality.
So you don't
goes.
think there's like no difference whatsoever?
No, I mean MiniDiscs. It's a compressed format. It's similar to like it's not MP3, but it's similar. So it's if someone did like a analysis of it, it's not quote unquote as good as a CD. Whether or not you can tell the difference, I can't tell the difference. But so I'm saying if you have something on CD and you use that to make a MiniDisc, that's going to be just as good as if you had purchased. So the only reason to have a pre-recorded one is just because you like collecting those things.
Yeah.
But it's funny because the two that I had, and I only had them because I went into Best Buy one day and they had a little section in the back or something with a few, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, I thought it was just you bought a mini disc player and then you bought blank discs and just like made your own.
Yeah.
But I had the sound. Speaking of soundtracks, I had the soundtrack to The Cable Guy, which is a pretty good soundtrack.
Yeah.
I saw the movie in the movie theater. I don't remember thinking too much of that one, but good soundtrack.
I don't remember very much of the soundtrack either. Ben Stiller directed that movie, didn't he?
You already know more than I do about that movie. Then I have no idea. But
I don't remember like really the soundtrack at all from that.
It had that. What was that? There was that Primitive Radio Gods, and they had like one hit.
Oh yes,
Is that
yeah,
standing
outside of a telephone booth.
Yeah, right.
Something or other as like a really long title.
That was on there, but I think there was a filter. Was Hey Man, Nice Shot on there? Maybe, or maybe I'm convincing something else. But there was a few good songs on there. But then the other one and this is the one that I regret, because like, you know, when I got rid of all my mini-disc stuff, like when I was in college, I just put it all together and listed it on eBay as just a big bundle. Mm-hmm. But the other pre-recorded disc I had was Pearl Jam's Yield.
Oh, see.
And like, man, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
Because I think, what is that? Given to Fly or whatever. That's not what it's called, the song? Given to Fly. Such a good song.
Yeah. I always liked In Hiding was my favorite song on that album. You know, I was just thinking about how that, someone said, I saw it on Facebook or something, like that album just turned 20, I think.
Yeah. That's another example. I just bought that album on CD.
Yeah.
I think it was $3.
Worth it. Basically that was their fourth one, right?
I mean, that sounds about right. I don't know.
It's like it was like 10 verses, Vitology, and then Yield. Yeah. And I think that like after that is when I started like not really paying attention anymore. Because it just seems like I think that after that, you know, they stopped like doing like anything like putting out videos or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't even think they did any videos for Vitology. I don't know. It's just interesting because, you know, they just said, hey, we're just going to just do what we want to do. And
I think that's cool though. Like we've already made our money and now we're just doing what we like.
Yeah. I mean, they are, I think from that era, like they are like in some ways you could say like they are like one of the last great like live bands that are just, you know, still touring like as a thing that they like, that's what they're mostly known for now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I would say, maybe I'm missing something, but I just feel like they're like the longest lived, you know, as far as like longevity goes, you know, band out of the grunge era. Like I don't consider Pearl Jam to be a grunge band, but I mean they are, you know, but are
yes.
they? I don't know. I've listened to a lot of people say it's grunge, and I'm like, is that really grunge? I don't know about that, but maybe if somebody asked me to define grunge, I think I'd have kind of a hard time. Like, like where's the line between just like alternative '90s rock and grunge?
Yeah,
but
we gotta watch that documentary. Maybe we should like find some time to just watch that.
Yeah.
Maybe after maybe today.
Maybe I gotta check in with the people that I live with and see, you know.
Yeah. Or maybe you should just watch it. We should just discuss it afterwards.
We could either way.
But you know, you're like that. But I mean, I think that the only other band, I guess, that even comes close to doing, you know, and came afterwards, like is not grunge. But I mean, you could say the Foo Fighters would fall into like one of the last great like arena rock bands, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, I think I
was thinking more of like stuff from the early '90s, though. You know,
right? Oh, exactly.
So that's why
exactly.
But I'm only saying that because I don't make it sound like I don't think Foo Fighters is cool. It's just like,
right, exactly. But I'm just saying, like, I think that the two of them like are like you don't really find like bands or anything like that are doing. I mean, I'm just out of touch, really, I'm sure there's plenty of
I
stuff.
think we
but I
probably
mean, that have been
both
around
are
for
to a
that long
certain
and still
extent.
doing it. And that,
Yeah.
there's people older than them still doing it.
Yes. For
But
sure, yeah. But I think part of it is like if I think of like those bands from the early '90s, I think of like, what Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots,
mhm.
Pearl Jam, Soundgarden. To me, were like kind of the big five, and
Yeah.
the other four, the front men are all dead, and so like there you go.
When you think it's
It's
crazy
like,
when you think about it,
I always kind of feel like someone needs to like pin down Eddie Vedder and just wrap him in bubble wrap,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hopefully he's.
I mean, there were
Isn't going
many
anywhere.
other great bands from the early '90s, but I'm just saying, to me, those were like the big
Yeah.
main five that were like superstars.
Yes.
Yeah. But something else. This was something else I've been kind of meaning to bring up on the show, and I feel like now is a good time for that.
Mhm.
We talked about a while back about in my car I just have a CD player. Like my car's not new enough to have connectivity of any kind, and so
Yeah.
like I have like this wallet full of CDs in there, and they're almost all albums. There's like maybe one or two greatest hits, where it's
Mhm.
just a band that I'm not into enough that I want to listen to an album, but they're good for greatest hits. But then I have like one mix CD that I made. What's going on over there?
Something that's a thing. You used to see it fall out. Did it fall out?
Something
on
fell.
camera?
I just saw a black shadow kind of,
Just one of my sound panels just fell.
Oh, wow, that's not good. It's Widowmaker right there.
It's it's like
I know, I'm just joking. But anyway, so I have this one mix CD in the car, and it's all like, it's like late '90s rock,
okay.
because I feel like for me, like the late '90s was like that was sort of the end of me listening to the radio as my primary
Yeah.
sort of way to consume music. Like all growing up through the '80s and into the '90s, yes, I had tapes, and then later I had CDs, but like mostly I listened to the radio.
Yeah.
And but then in the late '90s, like Napster and whatnot happened, and so I ended up having a pretty big collection of MP3s on my computer, and I had Winamp, and so I kind of made my own radio station, and so I quit listening to the radio,
Hmm.
But in the late '90s, that's when I was in like my late teens, early 20s, right? Like I graduated high school in '95, and so I was just working and maybe half-assedly going to community college. And so a lot of like the rock radio, of the late '90s, that was sort of the soundtrack to my like young adulthood, And so I have this CD that's really just full of those songs, but like
Yeah.
either like, like one hit wonders or like, flash in the pan kind of bands,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't know what you were listening to in the late '90s, but it just made me wonder. It is maybe kind of a hyper specific question, but just like what kind of songs or bands like do you remember from
From the late era of that time period.
yeah, and I mean maybe just to give a couple of examples, I would say, and I don't want to say this and someone writes into the show and be like they weren't a one hit one, but I'm saying like we're not talking about Pearl Jam here. We're talking about
Right.
like Space Hog, right? They had their one song like In the Meantime, which
Yes.
came
Was
on.
like-
It was I was listening to Tidal and just letting it do its thing the other day, and that Space Hog song came on. And it made me
It's a
happy.
great song.
Right. It made me happy to hear it. It was like, oh man, I feel like I'm like 19 years old again or whatever.
Their album after that is really good too.
Yeah. Like, yeah. And right. And I wasn't trying to suggest like, oh, they only ever did one good thing, but it's just like, as someone who primarily just listened to the radio, that's the only Space Hog song I ever heard.
Yeah.
Or like,
still
Silver.
like the only one that gets played. It's in the trailer for the Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I don't watch that stuff, but like Silverchair, Silverchair.
Oh yeah, it's tomorrow.
like,
it's like they were saying like, oh, he's going to be like the next Kurt Cobain. He's like,
what was crazy? I remember
he's
when
like 15 or something like that.
well, see, I didn't know that. So when I forgot the name of the song even.
It's called Tomorrow.
If you say so, I don't even remember. But I remember not really liking the song that much. I was like, it's okay. But then like later I found out that those guys were like all in high school when they wrote and recorded that. And then I was like, well, you got to take your hat off to that. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Or like there was that band Days of the New And they had that song Shelf in the Room. That was a pretty good song. But again, nothing. Or a band that had a few songs. There was that band 7 Mary 3, which of course is a reference to Chips. Did you ever watch Chips?
No.
With Ponch and John?
I mean, I know of it.
Like that was their call signs. One of them was 7 Mary 3. The other one was 7 Mary 4, I think. I think it was 3 and 4. But anyway, that's where they got their, they had that song Cumbersome,
Yeah, yeah. Like they make me think of remember the band Toadies?
Yes, they had that song Possum Kingdom, right?
Or I think that was the album was Possum Kingdom.
Oh yeah, you're right. But that song, it was about like vampires or something, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
I don't remember.
It was like behind the boathouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an excellent example. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I mean, I know that they kind of hit it big with another song, but I think of like Fountains of Wayne.
Yeah. That I don't. This is kind of changing the subject a little bit, but it's just kind of funny because you see stuff like this and you wonder like what the connection is. But I know you haven't watched The Sopranos, but on The Sopranos, there's this store that sells like garden stuff, including fountains. And it's called Fountains of Wayne.
Really? So I mean,
so
I wonder
when you see that,
like
you're like, somebody must have known. Like, I don't know if the writer, David Chase, like, are you friends with Fountains of Wayne, or like why? Because that's a very specific reference to put in your show.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't put live under this banner, could you? Probably not. No,
I mean, I wouldn't, just because I think, to me, Throwing Copper is like one of the greatest albums of the 90s.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, somebody else might disagree and say, yeah, because really, outside of that album, I mean, I remember when their next album came out, and I was like, yeah, it's not my scene,
Yeah, and I mean, if you had to pick, like, I mean.
And going back to 7 Mary 3, before anybody says anything, like, they had more than one hit on the radio. I'm just saying not a one-hit wonder, but just very much like whatever happened to, like that'll be like a Watch Mojo video on YouTube. Whatever happened.
They still
to
like making
Mary
a little
3.
bit of money from each time that gets played.
Probably, yeah.
See, it's funny because it's just like I have like a bunch of stuff like on the tip of my brain.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm going to be annoyed that I'm not going to remember it until like afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there is plenty. Like live is a bad example because.
Yeah.
How
about Fuel? They had like couple of 3 songs.
I don't know. I only know like the one that's the here's a good one.
All right.
Here's a good one. And it's funny because I saw them live. The Verve Pipe.
Oh yeah, that song Freshmen.
Yeah.
That's a good song.
It's a good song, but in that album Villains that's on is very good.
I always thought it was weird is like at the same time you had the Verve Pipe and then you had the Verve.
And the Verve.
Like what the heck?
And the Verve was really only known for one song too.
Yeah, didn't they got sued? I remember I read this whole thing like where they got sued by the Rolling Stones, and then, or wasn't it not even the Rolling? It's like whatever that orchestral sample is that just plays on loop in the background. Like, I think that it was like the Rolling Stones ex-manager or something had owned the rights to that, and so like he sued the Verve, and they had to give all their royalties to that guy. And then I think when that guy died, the royalties or the rights went back to like the members of the Rolling Stones, and so then they just to be nice because they're not jerks, turned around and gave the rights back to the Verve guy. But for like a long stretch of time, the Verve guy made no money off of literally his only hit song. That's pretty crappy.
Yeah. I mentioned the Verve Pipe. When I saw them, another band that like I'm not sure if you'll be familiar, but it's this band called K's Choice. Yeah, I bet you if you heard the song "Not an Attic," you would be like, "Oh, I know this song."
Yeah. That was like during the sort of the time period we're talking about is like I got a guitar when I graduated from high school, and so like a lot of these songs like I they were just like one hit wonders on the radio or whatever, But, I would, every month I was buying all the guitar magazines off of the newsstands.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the kind of songs that would be in there. So like I remember learning, that main like little, guitar riff from that Freshman song just because it sounded pretty cool. And then you would impress people, not that I was trying to, but, I'd be at school playing it and somebody, oh, you know how to play whatever. And, you could start playing that. Or, I knew how to play like Wonderwall by Oasis,
Yeah.
People like hearing that stuff.
Well, if you decide to like go back and like listen to the Freshmen, listen to the song. Which was the first song that I knew them from, is the song called "Photograph." It's on
I'll
there.
check it
on
out.
The Verb Pipe. It's a good song. What are some other ones? How about "Stabbing Westward"?
Yeah, I think I had one of their CDs.
Yeah, I did too.
Because they had a couple of good songs, but yeah, that's a good example. But something kind of funny about that is I always thought that the lead singer from Stabbing Westward, and I only knew what he looked like just from like whatever the music video was on MTV, but I always thought he looked like the guy, like the bad guy from Kindergarten Cop.
I don't remember.
I can't remember the character's name, but like the Who Is Your Daddy and What Does He Do? Like the daddy,
Yeah. Interesting. I'd have to look that up.
They're not the same guy or anything. And they probably don't even look that much alike, but I just remember when I saw, a Stabbing Westward like video, I was like, oh man, that's the bad guy from Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah. What are some other ones? Any other ones that you can think of?
Well, I'm just thinking like other, like just examples of like other songs I have on that CD. Like there was that band The Flies, and they had that song "Got You Where I Want You."
Oh, I know.
It's a
I know
pretty
what you're
good
talking
song,
about.
I think. And then again, these are not not one hit wonders or anything, but like I got at least one Eve Six song. I think I have one Eve Six song on there. I think I have a couple.
I saw Eve Six. They would like.
Yeah, I saw them one time too. Yeah,
I saw them at Fredonia College, and they opened for Third Eye Blind.
Well, that would be another example. I have at least one Third Eye Blind song.
Yeah.
They just, to me, Third Eye Blind, like, and I'm saying this as someone who hasn't like
but
explored
they had
their discography.
Songs,
but I feel like they had one album where like that album like generated like three or four radio hits, and they're all really good, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There was like Jumper, Graduate, Semi-Charmed Life, and there's at least
you say
one
Jumper?
more. Jumper, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember they were like on an episode of I don't know if you ever watched The Real World on MTV.
I watched like the first. I watched the second season. The one in LA is the one that I watched the most.
Okay, well, so they had one that was in Seattle, and it was one of the very early seasons.
Yeah,
and that was right around the time that Third Eye Blind was big, because they came in like how every season. I haven't watched. I don't even know if The Real World is still on, but like back when I used to watch it, they got into this thing where like all of the housemates or whatever would work, at like a place, like they all had a job and it was all at the same place.
Right.
And the Seattle people, they worked at a radio station. And so like one of their little tasks they had to do was they had to make like this PSA. It was a PSA video, so I don't understand how that works. It was a radio station about suicide, about like suicide awareness or suicide hotline. And like Third Eye Blind came to do it with them. And then like Jumper was used as like the background music, for the little PSA they did. But
yeah,
I also remember that Sir Mix-a-Lot was on that season because, Sir Mix-a-Lot is from Seattle. I don't know if you've ever been to the Seattle airport. Did I haven't mentioned this already on the show?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been to the Seattle airport. That's where I was like, it's right before I came down to San Francisco and met you like years ago, and yes. I was like amazed that they had that Sub Pop store in there,
right?
And I was like, I have to get a shirt from the Sub Pop store.
Oh, is that where you got your shirt?
Yeah, and it's like one of my favorite shirts, and now it's like so worn that I can't wear it anymore.
Oh no!
And I was like, I need to like get another one of those because it is like easily the most comfortable shirt that I've
probably
owned
just order
in
it
a decade.
online, I would imagine, but.
I know, but
Well, anyway, so I don't know if you noticed while you were in there, but Sir Mix-a-Lot is like the voice, like the PA voice at the Seattle airport.
I mean, it makes sense.
It's pretty cool. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
But that Sub Pop shirt, I'll tell you, like,
Yeah.
it is one of my favorite shirts, and it like I wore it so much that I got like a hole up
Yeah.
here on it.
I hate that.
But I could probably wear another shirt underneath it and
You
make
could,
it
yeah.
work.
Incubus. I think I have like an Incubus song on there.
Yeah.
But I mean, they had several, songs.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, that's like the same thing. I mean, I'm sure that like Eels is like another one.
What was there?
Novocaine for the Soul.
Sounds familiar.
Before I sputter out. I don't know. It's so there's like so much music from that time, and I'd have to like.
Stained. I have a Stained song on there, I think.
Oh, ugh. I mean that's like. Yeah, I mean, of course.
Well, yeah, I mean that guy's kind of an unsavory character now, but I don't know. They had a song that I really liked, but
yeah. How about Puddle of Mud?
And I never liked Puddle of Mud.
Well, of course.
But I remember.
I'm not saying like these are bands that should have been on that CD.
No, I know, but
like,
yeah, but I'm saying that stuff I'm bringing up is mostly stuff I remember fondly. But I just remember that one Puddle of Mud song. I remember really hating it. But going back to Stained real fast, I just remember like he had that one song that was like, I don't know if it's called like I'm on the out. I don't remember the name of the song, but he's like I'm on the outside, I'm looking in, and like the famous, it was a radio hit. Was him playing it live, like it was just him, and I mean, I'm not saying I'm really into that song. I'm not, but I'm saying it was a pretty good performance. Like if you don't like Stained, like I never bought a Stained CD, but I'm saying, say what you want about Stained. That was a pretty good performance, except that for some reason he had, because I think there was a video for it on MTV too, but for some reason he had Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit out on the stage with him. And like, he was just being stupid, he kind of ruined it. Like, just why do you have a microphone in your hand? Like, shut up and go away. Like that.
Yeah.
Like Limp Bizkit is 100% a band that I wish never existed.
Yeah.
Like nothing good ever came out of
Nope.
them being a thing, in my opinion.
No. And that was, I mean, that's like the new metal era. And that is when I was like, I'm out. I have nothing, like nothing about this interests me. Like, like the same, like Disturbed and like, I mean, is Disturbed like would be, I don't know. Who knows?
I would put Disturbed. I would lump
I'm out of my
Disturbed in,
depth.
Yeah. Well, sure. I don't know. I think Disturbed had at least one song that I liked, like a song on the radio that I was like, that's a pretty good song.
Yeah.
But overall,
they did that really, like
they
did this, like, I think, are they the ones that like did the cover of Cranberry Zombie? And it's like, come on.
I hope not. That sounds like
I'm pretty sure that
idea.
they did. And it's
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but please don't do that. Anybody. I will admit I liked Korn.
Yeah.
They had some good, like me and my friend Fabian used to listen to a lot of, they had some songs we like. I don't want to listen to it now, but I'm saying I did go through a little bit of a Korn phase.
Yeah.
And I remember this kind of, at the time it pissed me off, but like I took a friend of mine and we went and saw Metallica at like the local arena, and Korn was opening for Metallica.
I think was it like on the Load tour?
It was, yeah. It was on the Load tour.
And they had the guy, like they had like during the show, like there'd be somebody like falling from the rafters or something like that. You remember that from
with Korn or from Metallica?
During Metallica. Like,
I don't remember that, but it's 100% possible. I mean, I don't remember everything we're talking about 1996 here. So,
yeah.
But I remember like that the people that ran the arena didn't have it together. So everybody was lined up outside waiting to get in. Like it's some kind of hold up. There was these huge long lines. And so I had to listen to the entirety of Korn's set from like outside the arena.
Oh, well.
I mean, it's not who I was there to see, but it's kind of like, it would have been kind of neat to see Korn, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's funny because that's an example of like I liked some of their songs, but I didn't like them at all. Like if I would see like interviews with them like on MTV, and I'm like, you seem like massively unlikable people.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how much things changed in like 10 years there. Like not even 10 years, and like 6 years really. From like I don't know. It seems like
Like, how do we
from
go
like
from like,
from like 1990, like changed in the year of like 1995 to 96.
yeah,
Like I
like
feel like
how
a
do we
lot,
go from like Stone Temple Pilots and Alice in Chains to like Korn and Limp Bizkit
yeah,
and
in
Disturbed and Stained?
like in a like 3 years.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's whatever the record companies want to do, like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Well, that's probably about it. I feel
Yeah,
like
I think
that's a good stopping point, I think.
I think so.
We've covered some good ground today.
We did. It's very music heavy, but I think that's fun. That's
Yeah.
fun. We
And
always like to
may I say that, in my opinion, you seem more upbeat and animated now than when we started the call. Like, I think this has been good for you, is what I'm saying.
I think so too.
It's like it's been a sauna for your soul.
It's been good to talk to like another person that's like not in the house, I suppose.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's going to do it for episode 16.
Number 16.
The Molly Ringwald episode. Here's my question for you. At some point, we got a bunch of questions in the email thing we should probably get to. But I still want it to turn into a Q&A, show. But
yes,
maybe at some point we should just say, today we're just going to do listener questions or something. I think
that's a good plan.
I don't want people to feel like they're being ignored,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we'll do next time.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and have a good week. Happy Monday. Boy, I can't. Someone says that to me, I don't like you very much at all. So
yeah,
I don't like Happy Friday though either.
Yeah.
There's a guy I work with where like you go up to him any day of the week. It doesn't matter what day. Like, hey Dave, what's up? How you doing? It's Wednesday. Doesn't matter what day of the week it is. It's like if you didn't know, like, because it happens to me. I'm old enough. Like, what day is it today? Just go ask Dave how he's doing. Hey Dave, how you doing? It's Tuesday.
Whatever. Like, we know what to expect every single day. It's like that's basically saying like it's a day that sucks and every day sucks.
Yes. Right. All right. Anyhow.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.